Welcome to the JonnyCakes YouTube channel, where cake is our business, and we take our business dead serious. Okay, sometimes we can be a little silly. Hello everybody, welcome to the JonnyCakes channel. I'm so excited to be here on your desktop computers. I can see what tabs are open up there. Wow, oh, Match.com? How's that working out for you? That's stupid. I hope you find love. Anyway, on this channel, we're gonna make all sorts of cakes. We're gonna make difficult cakes, cakes that maybe you wouldn't make at home, but maybe you would if you got some guts. But I'm also gonna show you how to make more simple cakes, give you tutorials on maybe some smaller cakes, less intense cakes that you can make with your kids if you have them. If you don't have kids, get back on Match.com. Come back, watch this video later. I need some grandkids. Start pumping those babies out, I guess. Today we are making our first ever cake for YouTube. I'm so excited. And I was racking my brain thinking like, what should that first cake be? And then I realized the answer was right in front of me in the comment section. It's definitely my most requested cake. It's a cake I made on Is It Cake, and that I'm going to remake, but kind of totally differently today. Without further ado, let me introduce the cake we're making today. The muse for my cake today, my French girl that I will be painting, if you will, Mr. Bucket Hat. Welcome to the show. That's right, I'm remaking a bucket hat cake. This time I'm making a frog bucket hat cake. And I think the reason I thought to do this is A, like I said, it's my most requested cake. B, some of you like to call me Johnny Hats, so I'm like, okay, I gotta make a hat. And then 3, or C, my friend Zach from the Try Guys wears this hat all the time, so I thought it'd be fun to make it and then bring it to him. Hey man, I brought you a cake. Oh wait, he's lactose intolerant. This cake is, there's dairy in this cake. I'll make him vegan cupcakes on the side. So without further ado, let's get baking. All right, to begin this cake, we have to, stack and frost it. And what I'm gonna be doing with this particular cake is recreating the same flavor profile I made on my original bucket hat on Is It Cake. It was this like churro dark chocolate explosion. It was delicious, if I do say so myself. So we're gonna start by spraying our cake layers with simple syrup. Why do we simple syrup the cakes? It helps keep the cakes moist. It, in this case, will add a brown sugary flavor, which is really nice. I'll start by filling this piping bag with some chocolate ganache. I like to put my piping bag in a glass like this so I can fill it without getting chocolate all over my hands. And we're just doing a thin coat of ganache. I don't want the chocolate to be overwhelming. This is a cinnamon forward cake. To add a little bit of a textural difference to this cake, I'm adding golden Oreos. I was at a party recently and I told some random guy that I put golden Oreos or regular Oreos in some of my cakes to give it a crunch. And he was like, that's cheating. You didn't make those from scratch. I said, who are you? Random man at a party. I was so annoyed. If you're watching, thanks for make sure you like and subscribe. He was really sweet, actually. I also have a cinnamon sugar Swiss meringue buttercream, which is really delicious, that I'm going to add on top of the Oreos. Honestly, this is one of my favorite cakes to make. I think it's one of my more delicious recipes. Ganache is really good when building cakes because it's much more stable than buttercream. We're gonna keep stacking this cake and just sort of repeat the same process. We're gonna do ganache, Oreos, buttercream, cake. This to me is so satisfying. I got into making cakes because I loved watching videos on the internet of people like frosting cakes. I just sort of get mesmerized. Other things I like to watch on the internet. I do love watching invasive surgery videos. And that's just a fun fact about me. That's just something you're gonna have to deal with. So we're just continuing to add layers to this. Basically, we're going for a rough estimate of what a bucket hat looks like. We're gonna trim away so much of this that I'm not concerned with it being totally perfect right now. I know, hard to believe, me not being perfect. So the bucket hat kind of tapers down, and then these pieces, I save all of my cake. You can make cake pops. You don't want to waste food. And if you waste food, the people on the internet will let you know. They'll say, that's a waste of food. Your life's a waste of space. Your dad will be like, you should have done something different with your life. Oh, that falls into a different category, but you get the idea. So you can see that the cake has to be much larger at the bottom because that's where the brim is. And then it sort of tapers up, but it's not like a crazy taper, right? Like it's more bulbous. This is what we call a crumb coat, and it really is just locking the cake crumbs into place. I saved the scraps when I was carving the cake, and I might just add a little to the brim. If you're washing your hands regularly, I say you can get in there with your fingers and, you know, do the damn thing. Also, these cakes are for my friends, so they like my finger juices. All right, this needs to go in the fridge for about 20 minutes to chill, just to lock this coat in, and then we can go through and give it its final coat of ganache. There we go. That's my impression of my dad picking me up when I was a kid, but I was getting too heavy for him. Oh, Johnny, you're too big. Yeah, I keep a camera in my fridge. Get on it. You should do it too. I was thinking about it. I have this hat just sitting behind. A hat is for wearing. And I think it'll help. It's like my thinking cap, but for cake. So, all right, we're gonna do one final coat of ganache. So with this coat, we want it to look really smooth and pretty. So we're going to take a piece of acetate and use it as sort of like a sculpting tool to just really smooth everything out perfectly. This is acetate. I cut it into a small square. I never knew about acetate before baking. I don't even know where you can buy it. I mean, I got it from Daddy Bezos, Amazon. That's what I say whenever I get a package from Amazon. I go, thank you, Daddy Bezos. It's a joke because I don't really like him. I mean, I don't know him, but you know, hoarding wealth, that's never cool. We won't get political. But really, what the f is a billionaire? You know what I mean? I can see that it's getting more and more smooth. Why am I like this? Hats for sale, 50 pence a piece. No, I don't know much about sports, but I would call this a hat trick. I think a hat trick is when you get 3 goals in a row. Who's gay now? Still me. So now we're going to chill this again. We want it to be a little bit more firm to the touch before we put fondant on top. While that chills, it's time for a chill break. Chill break, it's a chill break. Like, I know this is weird, but I do love it. So while the cake's chilling, I'm gonna prep the fondant, roll it out, get it nice and uniform and flat. So I'm covering this cake in 50-50, that is 50% fondant and 50% modeling chocolate mixed together. There's a couple reasons why I mix fondant and modeling chocolate, but mostly it's so that I get the elasticity of fondant and the ability to work on it for a longer period of time with modeling chocolate. It's really hard to make something edible look like fabric. It's very difficult. I struggled on Is It Cake? You may have seen that mess. And I just have to live with that now. It's on Netflix till the end of time. I'm working this out to get it more pliable with the heat of my hands. Also to get air bubbles out of it and to make it ready for rolling out. So now we're rolling this out and we're trying to get a uniform thickness so that when I put it on the cake doesn't become lopsided. I'm back. Now that the cake is out, I'm taking some vegetable shortening and gently coating the entire cake with a thin layer of vegetable shortening. People get really grossed out by this step, but it's necessary to attach the fondant to the cake. Also, it's just a thin layer. God, I wish somebody would massage me like this. I haven't been touched like this since my 20s. That is nice and glistening and beautiful. And now we want to deliberately mess it up a little. When you wear a hat, there are imperfections, there are wrinkles, there are lines, you know, there's creases and folds. So we're going to fake some creases and folds with the modeling chocolate fondant mixture that I'm using. So we're just gonna place these throughout. We don't have to go crazy. Stop. Not you. No, you're the cutest. Yeah, I am the cutest. I have this texture mat that is used for leather, but I'm gonna use it as a slight, like, canvasy texture. All right, I'm gonna drape the fondant over the cake. What I don't want is tears, rips, wrinkles, like huge wrinkles, things like that. You want it to be sort of perfectly imperfect. And then I have all this excess that I'm gonna cut off. This is called a ball tool. And what I'm doing is I'm taking that and adding like these natural creases that you would find in a real hat. So this hat has like 6 triangular pieces that make up the entire head portion that meet in the middle. So we need to make 3 long lines evenly spaced on the top of the hat to create that effect. This is a really cool tool. It's a stitching tool, and you roll it across fondant and it gives it the appearance that like a needle and thread has gone through it. So now we're moving on to the brim of the hat. And this is going to be the part that I'm gonna redeem myself on. My brim on Is It Cake was, you ever do something and you look back and go, what was I thinking? It was so bad. It was like messy and weird and gross. And I figured out a way to make it look much cleaner and tighter, and I'll show you what that is. So we're gonna build the brim off of the hat. We're going to create it fully, and then at the last minute, I'm gonna stick it on the cake so that I'm able to do all the little details and stitching and all the cutting before it's on the cake, and that gives me much more control. First, you roll out your fondant modeling chocolate mixture. Okay, this is so fun. Whoa! You're telling me the person who invented this didn't want me to buy it and pretend I was playing the accordion? You know what I mean? Like that's, when the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie. That's a grown man acting a fool is what that is. This tool can get me any size strip of fondant I want. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna measure how big I need it. So I'm gonna create 1/2 of the brim. I noticed on the real hat, the brim is in 2 pieces. So we're gonna chill this. Chill, Jesus. You're acting so crazy. While that's chilling in the fridge, I'm going to start making some imperfections on the brim. Now that the brim has chilled for 5 minutes, we have to add this stitching around it. You'll see these like concentric circles on the brim of the hat. We're gonna use the trusty stitching tool again and a ruler to create straight lines. Now that we've added all the stitching to the brim of the hat, I'm gonna put the whole piece onto the cake. I got 1 shot to do this. If I put it on and it's wonky or it doesn't match right or I screw it up or rip it, I have to take the whole thing off and completely redo all this hard work I did. So this is dramatic. This is serious. Wish me luck. Got 1 shot. Come on, work for mommy. Work for mommy. Mommy's been so good to you. My life is really stressful. Look at me. Just dusting the cornstarch off. I'm pretty happy with this. Now, look at the brim I made on Is It Cake. Or actually, don't do that. Why would you do that? This is much nicer. So great, 1/2 of the brim is on, and now we just repeat all those steps and do the back half. Now that we've made the majority of the hat, we're gonna start on details. Little things, like the little button on the top of a hat, the eyes that this frog hat randomly has, all that good stuff. Under his watchful eye. Oops. So we cut the mouth out of edible paper. We have all the elements, and it's time to assemble the cake. Bring him to life. And now for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. Hey, there you are, little guy. Should we play leapfrog? I think it's a look. All right, my favorite part. I'm gonna cut some cake. Hey man, I brought you a cake to say I'm sorry.
Wow.
For a year's worth of I've just been so cruel to you.
Well, f me.
I know, right? F you.
And you made some fatal flaws. Wow.
Yes. Yes, I take full responsibility for the piece of served you. You have managed to outdo yourself, stoop to the lowest level. This is the worst I've ever tasted. I heard you lost your bucket hat. Is that true?
I did lose my bucket hat.
So I saw you tweet about it, and I was like, I gotta make him a cake. Just say I'm sorry for saying you, for losing a bucket hat, for saying it was the worst piece of I've ever. I mean, it's really been a tough year for you. So I hope you enjoy this. There's also Zach-proof cupcakes outside, because you're allergic to this cake. Well, there you have it, a frog hat cake. Listen, it's what I do with my life. I hope you enjoy. Make sure you like and subscribe because I didn't get enough love as a child and I could use it. Until next week, I guess I'll just be over here eating cake. I mean, yo, that is good. That's really good.